Today I'm comparing the Saucony Freedom 3 versus the Asics Novablast. 14.05 miles, 9 minutes, 3 seconds per mile, 142 beats per minute running through the hills here in Guttenberg, Iowa, and taking the Asics Novablast out for a run today so I can compare it to the Saucony Freedom 3. But before I get to my thoughts on these two shoes, I do want to go over some disclosures. The Novablast is a pair of shoes that was sent to me for the purpose of review by Roadrunner Sports. The Freedom 3 was a shoe that I purchased with my own money. However, in neither event is anyone going to pay me to make this video or to wear any of these shoes or reimburse me for any purchase prices. And no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. Now with the disclosures out of the way, let's take a look at these two squishy shoes. These are probably two of the softest shoes that are out there on the market for 2020, and I thought that this would make the perfect head-to-head taking a look at these two squishy and roomy shoes. Now in the Asics Novablast, you've got Asics new Blast material, which is super squishy, super soft, and we're comparing that against the Freedom 3's Power Run Plus, which is also a super squishy material. Now, in terms of the two shoes side to side, it does look like the Novablast is a bit of a behemoth, a bit of a tank. But when you actually look at the numbers, if you can believe the stated numbers from the different websites, the two shoes, at least in the forefoot, have just about the same amount of stack height, with the Novablast actually having less stack height in the forefoot than the Freedom 3. The Freedom 3 coming in at 23.5 millimeters of stack height, and the Novablast coming in at 22 millimeters of stack height. So really close there. Now, I mentioned that these are two of the softest shoes on the market, and if I were going to use adjectives to explain just how different that they are, they're very similar, but there are differences. I'd say that the Novablast is a little bit more of a spongy type of soft shoe, where the Freedom 3 is more of a cushion type of soft shoe. Something that's more familiar to runners is going to be the Freedom 3. But the Novablast foam definitely has some of that sponginess to it. That's probably the closest that I've ever experienced in a shoe that's not a Nike to the ZoomX foam. So it's something closer to that. Moving to the outsole, we've got a healthy dose of rubber on both of these shoes, and it seems like the Asics uncharacteristically has had the more judicious application of rubber and not using rubber where it's not needed. But in either event, for both these shoes, I've had no problem at all running on pavement with these shoes, and even taking it on some of the dirt roads and softer surfaces that I have available to me now that I'm here in Iowa. Moving to the upper, both uppers are very comfortable, very roomy in the toe box. The Freedom 3, I think, is a slightly wider fit in the toe box while maintaining a traditional runner's shoe snugness throughout the rest of the foot. The Asics Novablast is also a very roomy toe box, but it just seems like the shoe overall is like a quarter size too big, not exactly a half size, not you're sizing up, but it just seems a little bit big, a little bit roomy, which is welcome for the types of running that I tend to enjoy doing in this type of shoe. Now, in terms of weights, they're both, again, pretty similar, with the Asics Novablast as the bigger looking shoe also being the heavier shoe. We've got 9.2 ounces for the Novablast and 8.4 for the Freedom 3, although in hand, they both feel about right, again, for the types of running that I'm doing in these. And so what type of running is that? I'd say that both of these shoes are really great for your everyday training, your regular runs, your recovery runs, your easy days, even up to your moderate paces. But the way that I would differentiate using these shoes is that if I have a run that's going to be a little bit faster, I might reach for the Freedom 3. If I have a run that's going to be a little bit longer, I might reach for the Novablast because I like that extra softness that I think is there in the cushioning in this shoe. If I'm going to give one of these two the crown in terms of which one is better, I'm definitely going to give it to the Novablast. I've really just been enjoying this shoe. So those are my thoughts on the Freedom 3 versus the Novablast. I know there's going to be a lot of room for differing opinions in that, and I'd love to hear about it down in the comments down below. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?